Fusebox. Okay, this is Fusebox number 180, Fiddling with Nero. And you probably can smell that smell.
Yeah, it smells like burning rosin. You know, you might want to tune to X flat minor 7 too. It'll really clean up your intonation there, buddy. Yeah. Hello, friends, and welcome in to Fusebox number 180, puckishly entitled Fiddling with Nero. And I'm your seemingly high-strung but surprisingly affordable host, Mark Rose, and over there, sitting in the cheap seats, it's the Prime Minister of Modulation, Milt Keynes, everybody.
Well, thank you kindly. Probably not a guy you want to fiddle with, yeah?
You mean Nero?
Yeah.
Probably not. He was another world-class debaucher, we're told, fiddling away there while Rome burned, at least that's how we're informed by historical info. But you know what? I don't actually think the fiddle, or violin really, was even invented back then. So he was probably playing a lyra or harp or something like that.
So, like no seven-necked guitar jacked into a Marshall stack?
Unlikely. Who knows, though, right? I mean, they uncover artifacts all the time that seem to set the historic timeline on its butt. I mean, Egyptian batteries? Well, who knew?
Well, you know, I've heard that the pyramids could actually have been like some kind of power source or a reactor or something.
Yeah, and that they may have been before the Egyptians, which is a very interesting notion. Well, it kind of suggests that they were repurposed by the Egyptians and not constructed by them at all, which would explain a hell of a lot, really.
Yeah, like, didn't they say that some of the stones weren't even from around the area that this thing is...
Yes, they did, which of course led to a whole discussion on how it may have gotten there in the first place.
Did they have Home Depot back then?
A wee before Home Depot's time, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But maybe Byzantines are us. That's a possibility.
So what's the word on the mysterious box, man?
Huh? Oh, you mean, Kyma?
Yeah. Is it happening? I mean, inquiring minds want to know. Well, I want to know anyway.
Yeah. Well, friends, what Mr. Keynes is referring to is a rather mythic, at least it was for the longest time to me. It's a little bit of hardware and software combination called Kyma, made by a couple of absolutely delightful folks, aliens. I'm convinced of it. Truly, they're aliens. Kurt Hebel and Carla Scaletti, they have a company called Symbolic Sound, and I'm going to link it right down there in the show notes. These two folks designed this system 30 plus years ago. And it's basically what you could call a sound design engine. Now, you've heard of game design engines, right?
Yeah, like, what is it called? The Unreal Engine or something like that.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. Yeah, that's actually spot on. Yeah, highly sophisticated kind of rendering box that, in the case of Unreal Engine, it creates all these amazingly stunning visuals and allows for complete and total interaction and immersion in a game or a film or whatever. Well, Kyma is that same idea for audio. Except, as I mentioned, they did it 30 plus years ago. You know how software designers always say that some new piece of software plug-in that they have is the great new secret weapon, right, that everybody uses and no one talks about?
Pretty much every piece of software is somebody's secret weapon.
Well, exactly. Well, Kyma is one. And you know what else? Might actually be the only one. How do I know? Because nobody ever talks about it. Not even in hushed tones in the back of obscure audio magazines. No, nothing. Nothing ever. Come to find out, the Kyma has been extensively used in this little tiny film called, I don't know, Star Wars or something? It was used in the franchise since about episode 1 back in the late 90s. Ben Burt, sound designer on many of those films, if not every one of those films since the first one, just came right out and said it.
Now, is he banned from the ranch now, too?
Oh, not bloody likely, buddy.
So what's the deal with delivery, then?
Well, sadly, it's chips. You know, we've all probably heard of the chip shortage that is currently causing grief for manufacturers of virtually any electronic component. I don't care what it is. So imports are back ordered, and may I just indulge myself here? I'm going to anyway.
Bring it.
Okay. Well, this shortage, it just feels a little manufactured to me.
I saw what you did there.
Thank you. No, I mean, it's been reported that before this shortage became a thing, that stockpiling of certain chips preceded it, like way before. So folks in the know were hoarding these chips, not specifically for their own use, but of course, to resell the chips at gouge and gore level prices to others. Because many smaller manufacturers who don't have the clout of some of these fatter cats would be in a serious bind. And of course, need to keep the assembly process going. A process, by the way, that was already smacked in the face by COVID.
Yeah, good times. So were these folks having to pay extortion-level prices for all their...
No, thankfully. They are waiting it out, as many are, and won't become part of the problem by supporting these thugs who see a fast buck opportunity.
So they're just...
Yeah, they're just waiting it out. The folks at Symbolic tell me that they are awaiting a delivery this month, September, as we record this. So we'll see. You see, because each one of these things, it's built by hand, friends. They don't have an overseas team doing assembly. At least not for the innards, as they say.
Well, how big is this thing?
It's not really very big. It's about 2 rack spaces high, or about 3 inches. But this thing is deep. It's a little shy of a foot.
Jeebus.
Yeah. Well, you see, the box is all audio processing. That's all it does. It crunches numbers and gives you the best audio quality imaginable. There's no fancy OS or interface like that. There's nothing foo-foo in there. It does have a software component designed by Carla Scaletti that lets you talk to whatever box you're using, whether it's Mac, PC, Linux, whatever. And it also has no digital I/O built in. Meaning audio in and out, well, that's up to you.
Wait, what? How does it output? I mean, how do you get shit into this thing?
Through gigabit Ethernet.
Huh.
Yeah. You see, when you don't have to worry about doing all those digital to analog and vice versa computations, you save chip space. So then your audio processing algorithms can be as freakishly weird as you want with no limitations, because the box is not concerned with the input and output of audio, just processing the hell out of it. I mean, you can't begin to imagine what this thing can actually do. The morphing algorithm alone would blow your mind. You want to make the sound of a cat made out of glass tubes and barbed wire? Have at it.
Well, aren't they already?
Well, yeah, good point. So, any day, Mr. Keynes. And the last thing I'll say on this geeky subject, I promise, is that all the parameters of a sound that you're creating are made to be controlled externally, like by an iPad or a Wacom tablet or a thing like the Touche that I am fond of. So the movement of sound is purely organic. You can move things through space and morph between things with positively no regards to linear motion, unless you want to constrict it that way.
Yeah, I think my brain is trying to exit the building. I'm getting visions of you slumped over the desk with a coffee IV drip in your neck.
That's ridiculous.
TheFuseboxShow.com.
The following preview has been approved for all audiences.
In a world of hate and judgment, where judgmental hate judges with hate and judgment, comes the ultimate day of judgment and hate. A hate that judges. A hate that...
Sweetie, what are you doing in there?
Nothing! I'll be out in a minute, Mom.
Well, I hope you're not doing what I think you're doing. But Ken...
Mom!
You know your father and I don't like when you do that.
Son, you need to get a girlfriend and a real job.
Oh, for God's sake.
Sweetie, come to dinner. It's meatloaf night.
Well, if you ask me, he needs to let his meatloaf once in a while.
Carl!
I've died and gone to hell.
Timo's World.
Yes, friends, the big guy returns. Timo is lumbering your way shortly, so I would recommend that you tie down any loose objects and, stay away from the windows, because things could get a little frenetic around here. Coming up in a bit.
So, did you hear about this thing? Where the NIH seems to have been involved in the grant funding of research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
I'm sorry, what? Say it ain't so.
I'm afraid it's so, bro. This outfit called the Intercept reports that a 900-page report on something called gain of function research shows that a grant given by the NIH and specifically from the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases to do this research. Now, you know who sits at the head of that outfit, right?
Well, Dr. Anthony Fauci, of course. Now, wait a minute, though. Are they saying that the NIH had something to do with the pandemic?
Not yet. But this research they were funded for is considered risky because they aim to make a virus more contagious.
Well, one might say weaponize.
One might say that. I'm not. But one might.
So the fallout has been what? Can you send that to my screen?
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Thanks.
Here's the funny part. It kind of looks like the whole machine over there at the NIH is in a bit of a panic. But bro, no one is reporting on this in the major media, at least not today. We're yapping about it. The cats at the Intercept evidently had heard about this grant and went digging for it.
All right, so it does appear to have some funny optics here. I will say that. It says there was a collaboration between the NIH and some not-for-profit organization called EcoHealth Alliance, which it says was working with this Wuhan virology outfit. This looks, you know what? This actually looks like the kind of shell game they play in film production to get movies funded, But anyway, here's a clip from an interview on The Hill, which is a DC-based news program, with one of the authors of that article, Mara Hyvenstall.
Fauci's testified that NIH and NIAID, the organization that he headed under NIH, categorically has not funded gain of function research in China. Francis Collins, the head of NIH, has made similar statements. And the documents raise a lot of questions about whether that's true and how much Fauci and Collins knew about the work that was going on. And so, they do not definitively prove that Fauci lied, but they do raise a lot of questions that going forward will need to be explored.
And the reporters there are also quick to point out that gain of function research is not necessarily a bad thing all the time. It's just part of the research process.
Well, I also notice here that the NIH was not denying the gain of function studies. They were just, quote, reclassifying the conditions of the research. And here's a clip with the co-author Sharon Lerner.
We decided that it should not be subject to the restrictions that we put on gain of function research. And specifically, they're talking about two things. One is this pause that happened on such research between 2014 and 2017. And after that, it's these guidelines that were applied to that kind of research. So
moving the goalpost.
Well, this is weird, Mr. Keynes, I will say. I mean, these particular players don't create an air of confidence in the system when it's quite clear something was going on under the radar like this. I'll tell you what, I also see why a lot of major media might be a little slow to report this. At the moment, they're all about social fallout these days, the numbers and the mandates and all that stuff. This will cause some of the alternate truth seekers to turn it up to 11 for sure, and they've got some big rally planned like this weekend, so...
Kind of what I'm hoping doesn't happen.
Yeah, I second that opinion. Well, this just looks funny, I gotta say. This just looks funny.
The thing to me is, when you're dealing with players this big, the truth of what really happened may never be known, man. They kind of own the optics machine, if you know what I mean.
Well, you know what? You actually bring up an interesting point. I wasn't going to talk about this, really, but now that we're here...
Go for it.
I was posting the video promo for the last show, number 179, Bozone Layer, and the cover art... painstakingly crafted, as usual, by our colleague in audio crime, Jeff Pollard. Well, this cover art features the word COVID in the actual artwork there. So I'm posting this thing, and all of a sudden, a screen pops up, alerting me to the fact that the image that I'm trying to post contains the word COVID in the art. It then directs me to a COVID information site, or I can just continue. It didn't stop me from posting the image. It just wanted me to know that it noticed the word, and are you sure you want to do this?
Fucking algorithms.
Well, yeah. Now, friends, I get it. On one level, there is a barge load of disinformation being spewed out every day on this topic. And yeah, it's a mess. But who are we? We produce a program that features satire a lot. It's very clear to me that this myopic algorithm is at its best humorless and at its worst aligning itself with that NSA type of content flagging.
Yeah, they do that. It's just mining for keywords, man. COVID is in their top 5 hit list. No pun intended.
It's just a wee fatiguing. Because in many respects, we seemingly have regressed as a society to the point that laughing at virtually anything is subject to intense scrutiny and maybe even, say it with me, cancellation.
Yeah, I gotta say, it'd sure be a tough road to travel if we were doing a comedy show.
Wait.
It's Timo's World. Timo wants to become a famous saxophone player and start a band. But first, he'll have to actually learn how to play a saxophone. Stick that in your jazz hole.
So this is the Apollo 8XP, huh? Well, it looks like it has the same connectors.
Yeah. So, what I'm thinking is, we just basically swapped the 896 out. I can't put it in yet.
Yeah.
Because,
Well, the new Mac isn't here yet, so...
Right, yeah, it's not here yet. So, I think it'll be pretty easy. It should sound fabulous.
Yeah, I'd say we just swap the cables on the 896.
Oh, hey, Timo.
You should be good to go. Oh, hey, Timo. What brings you by?
Sex. Sex.
Look, bro, I don't swing that way. Sorry. I mean, well, there was that one time in Argentina, but I seriously thought that dude was...
No. Sax, not sex. Sax. Saxophone.
Oh, right, yeah, I knew that.
Yes, I worry about him too, Timo. Anyway, cool sax. I didn't know you played.
Jazz band.
You've always wanted to be in a jazz band? Oh, man, really? Jazz? Well, that's cool, Timo, but bands are a lot of work. You gotta book gigs and print flyers and learn how to play hungover. Make sure you have enough money for bail. And, condoms? You got...
Sex.
Exactly, bro.
Again, sax, not sex.
Oh, man, that reminds me. Did I ever tell you about that time in Argentina? Or was it Utah?
More times than I can count, and I still have nightmares. So, a jazz band, huh, Timo? Well, you could just play solo, too. You don't need a band to play jazz.
Yeah, you don't need talent either.
Now, well, jazz is an acquired taste, Mr. Keynes. Hey, how about playing something for us, Timo? We can patch you in. We'll record it.
Sex. Timo, play.
Alrighty, well, we're recording, so go ahead and start whenever you want, Timo. Yeah, that sounds like jazz, all right.
Yeah, I think he's freestyling.
Even if it's free, costs too much.
Well, say now, gosh, I've never seen someone sweat so much.
Bro, I think I'm bleeding from my ears.
Sex.
Timo, that was just really, really very wow, right, Milt?
Seriously, blood coming from my ears.
So, Timo, the thing about jazz is...
It sucks. That's the thing about jazz, man. It sucks. No one should ever be allowed to play jazz, ever. It's a bullshit genre for musical posers who think that crap is an art form. You know what? I've never picked up a saxophone in my entire life, and I'm already one of the best saxophone players in the entire history of jazz.
Oh no.
Too far?
Too far.
Hey! Hey, whoa! Whoa! Hey, not my guitars! Whoa! 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 Ow! My eye! No, man. Yeah, that went well.
Oh, the humanity. My bad, bro. But seriously, jazz?
So what? You think he'd play better if he wanted to start a polka band? Good afternoon, the podcast formerly known as Fusebox. This is Mark. How may I help you?
Hey, Mark, thank Christ you're still there.
Yeah.
Listen, Timo is headed your way. Did you know he played sax? Anyway, he's got this wild idea about starting a band or something, and he wants to play for you guys. So look, whatever you do, make sure you like his playing. In fact, make sure you love his playing, or things will get really ugly really fast. Jesus, I didn't even know he played. And jazz? What, is he kidding with that? Jazz? No one likes that shit.
And the walls come tumbling and down.
Are we going to be canceled now because we have a bell ringer who plays bad sax?
Well, I sincerely hope not. I have weird sounds to make in my not-too-distant future.
And I've got an icy cold donut in mine.
And on that tab, we'll call it a show, friends, but not before thanking our contributors to this edition of Fusebox: Jen Gosnell, Bruce Miles, Sam A. Mowry, and Jeff Pollard. Thanks as well to the phantom fiddler of the front of house, Milt Keynes over there, for technical assistance and so forth and so on.
Pleasure as always.
And, of course, an overly long concerto of thanks to you, friends, for pushing play on this edition of the show. As we know, there are many, many things vying for your earballs.
Yeah, but while you're here thinking about it, go ahead and mash the subscribe button there and maybe even leave a review with, 11 stars or something.
Yes, indeed, most grateful for any activity there. It truly keeps us running along and at least stocked up in Japanese pocket squirrel kibble. I have been your saying all the right things to all the wrong people host, Mark Rose, saying until our next cartoon.